Hello everyone, my name is Richie and welcome back to another video. Today join me for a very special video and I'm joined by two special guests. If you'd like to introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Dan and I'm the director of All Aboard Studios.
I'm Kieran, and I'm a technical developer and quality assurance lead.
And today we're going to be talking about their upcoming route, West Coast Main Line Birmingham to Crewe. I'm very excited for this one and I know you guys are very excited to get the players' hands on this game because this looks really exciting, especially for me. It's my stomping ground. So yeah, what we're going to do today is we're going to talk a little bit about it, just ask a couple of general questions, and yeah, build up a bit of hype for this product because it's going to be a lot of fun. So first off, tell us a little bit about the route. What can players expect? How long is the route? Where does it go to and from? I know some people might not know that part of the West Coast Main Line, so just let us know a couple of route details.
Yeah, I'll go for it because it's more my part of the world than Kieran's. So yeah, it's Birmingham New Street to Crewe, setting kind of the modern era. So obviously we're building off Birmingham New Street from Cross City, so it is going to look familiar to most players. We have done a series of enhancements, in particular, Kieran, to Birmingham New Street.
Or
We obviously have
does that mean there's no more nuclear benches?
Well, yeah, hopefully.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I hope so.
we've done our best to find all of those. I did find one a few weeks ago. I think we fixed it. So yeah, the biggest thing is the lighting. Obviously on Cross City it was still very bright under there. Anybody that's been to New Street knows it's quite, even since it's been modernised in the last 10 years, it's still quite dark and dingy underneath, etc. Almost like an underground style station. So we've really tried to bring that out in the game, and Kieran's been fully responsible for that and done an absolutely fantastic job. I mean, I know New Street like the back of my hand. You'll get to see the work that's been done. Yeah, it is still the model, and unfortunately, we didn't redo the model. There was too many fundamental issues that we would have literally had to rebuild the whole thing when we looked at it. So we've used the existing. It makes route hopping with Cross City a lot easier by keeping the existing model, and then we've tried to enhance it. We've added so much clutter. We've had a bit of help as well from outside of our team just to try and clutter it as well, enhanced everything. We've tried to get RA indicators working at the station as well. I really just tried to bring that a little bit more to life, really, kind of line side and at the station, just so you feel a little bit more. It felt a little bit flat in Cross City, so really tried to bring that alive in this route, being the terminus at one end. And then obviously as you come out, we head kind of northwest out of the city, and then between there and Wolverhampton, it's not particularly fast. Ranges anywhere from 60 to 75 miles an hour. Chops and changes a couple of times as we go through what's known as the Black Country. So places like Smethwick, Dudley, Tipton, Coseley. So there's some services you might stop at Smethwick Galton Bridge, some at Coseley. The Avanti services will stop at Sandwell. You'll have some that will go straight through, like the Voyagers. And then you've got your stopping services as well, from Birmingham to Wolverhampton, which are on the 350s, sometimes 323s if you've got the cross city layer. So that stretch between Birmingham and Wolverhampton is really varied, really busy. We've got pretty much all the stock, other than the TFW 158s, which are interim with 150s for now. We didn't want to miss that layer out.
I was going to ask about that, because I think realistically at one point, I mean, Transport for Wales do sometimes run the 150s when they want to replace the 158, so it's not completely unrealistic. But yeah, from experience, I've been on 158s many times along that portion of the line. So yeah, it'd be good that representation is there in some form, and I don't think the 150s are that much of an issue, to be fair.
No, we'd love the 158 Transport for Wales in there, and obviously that's going to soon be replaced in the next year or two as well with the 197s. So it would have been great to get it in, but where we are with stock at this point was better than what we thought we were going to be when we started the project, with obviously the Voyager and the West Midlands trains 170 as well. There were additions that obviously when we first started we didn't know we were going to have. So yeah, listen, it's a really busy timetable. The timetable is set in 2019.
Okay,
so
cool.
You've got half-hourly services to Shrewsbury as well. You've got two an hour to Liverpool, one to Crewe. So that stretch of the line is very busy.
Yeah.
Small delay along there, and you soon get stuck. You generally queue to get into Wolverhampton, and quite often into New Street as well. So, yeah, that's a real fantastic stretch of the line, which I know you know quite well as well, Richie.
Yeah, that portion of the line of the route is my most sort of familiar territory because like I've got much experience going between mainly Telford and Birmingham. So obviously like the 158s, 170s, 350s, I've been on loads of times on that section. So you mentioned them. We're going to see like Voyages, Pendolinos, things like that as well. It's going to feel really quite surreal in a sense. I especially like some of the screenshots I've seen of the approach into Wolverhampton because on the viaduct, and you're going to see all sorts of things. I'm going to absolutely love that. And I think the players are going to absolutely love it as well because, like you say, there's layers from all sorts of places now. And we will come on to this because I've got a question about that. But yeah, layers are going to be absolutely mad. So, like you say, it's going to be incredibly busy. And also, one big question I know a lot of people will have is Birmingham New Street is no longer quiet. Like, I know it got busier in that new West Midlands Railway cross-country 170 pack, as you mentioned. But, from the start, this route, and especially Birmingham New Street, is going to be as busy as it should be in real life.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Kieran, you can take that one. You've enjoyed timetable in New Street.
It is, it's about as busy as it possibly could get. It's been a very love-hate relationship with the timetable and just New Street in general. But I think players will love it. There's times of the day where it's a bit quieter, and then obviously those early morning and into the rush hour into the evening as well. Like that's when it gets really busy, and the station just feels alive. And I think that alone is just fantastic to see. And then obviously you combine that with just the general atmosphere of the station. It feels authentic. And again, it's been great to work on redoing all the lighting on the station, as much as I've hated it at times. But hopefully people that know New Street will get that sense that it feels like New Street in real life, and that's really what we aim for.
Can I just ask with improvements to the stations and things like that? So I would assume that with it being Train Sim World 6, does it have some of the core features such as announcements?
Yeah, the announcement system has been implemented. And again, there'll be times of the day where it just doesn't stop going off, as we found in testing. So you really will get that sense that it is busy and it feels alive.
That's good. That's cool. Yeah, because it's going to be quite surreal running around New Street. Not only with it being busy, so you're going to hear like I say, because it's an underground station, you'll hear the hum of the Voyagers and you'll hear the whirs of the electric trains, and then you'll have the announcements mixed in. It's going to feel like a proper audio, it's just going to be fantastic from an audio perspective, I feel like. So do you feel like that is a big thing that players can look forward to?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Voyagers were really the missing piece of the puzzle for our timetable. I mean, especially at New Street, they add so much to the atmosphere. But yeah, absolutely.
It's not just the trains as well, though. I mean, one that, if you remember, Kieran, that I kept mithering you for was the fans.
Yeah.
So obviously, anybody that's been in New Street obviously knows the fans in New Street. So we've turned those up quite incredibly as well. Under there, obviously that constant hum, obviously when diesel trains especially come in, we haven't been able to change the settings for diesel trains to come in that they go up, but we have really turned that kind of hum up that you hear when you're in the depths of New Street as well. So like I said, we've really tried to build on the atmosphere. If anything, we had to dial it down a little bit. One of the guys that helped us clutter it went a little bit overboard when we first looked at it, and he'd laid 200 puddles. And we soon had to kind of scale it back a little bit, and with performance and just try and meet a little bit in the middle as well. So yeah, we really have tried to work on New Street. So, and obviously the extra stock, as Kieran said, really helps us. So
that's awesome. That's so much to look forward to, honestly. Because I mean, we've only scratched the surface really, because we've only really talked about New Street and up to Wolverhampton. So what sort of details can people expect from the likes of Stafford and Crewe and things like that?
Well, I think before we leave the kind of Black Country area, Wolverhampton, obviously one question that's been around the forums a fair bit, which and on Discord, etc., is Oxley going to be in the game?
Oh yeah.
And obviously the answer is yes to that.
Awesome.
Oxley is in the game. We couldn't have done Wolverhampton without Oxley being there as well. So yeah, you'll be able to go down. We did have some issues with Oxley. We're going to be open and frank about that. Unfortunately, there's optimization issues with the 390s. So please don't expect to turn up to Oxley to find 14 Pendolinos, because you will crash straight away. So please bear with us on Oxley. We've done everything we can. Unfortunately, the class 390 is an hour train to optimize. So yeah, we try to make Oxley as best we can. But fundamentally, yes, can you go down and pick an early morning ECS up to either Wolverhampton or Birmingham from there? Yeah, absolutely, and obviously the late night ones as well. So, I mean, in terms of depots, well, we touched on them. Obviously, Soho as well is in there that we've
I
not
was going to come on
touched.
to this one. Yeah.
One that everybody wanted from Cross City. So yes, now you can do the ECS 323 moves into New Street. And again, they're quite fun. I remember doing one a couple of months ago, and I think I had to sit there at red light for 10 minutes while four trains came past until I got my signal. Yeah, so there's some good early morning ones, and the constant as well. Every 10-15 minutes they're coming out of Soho in the morning. So yeah, you've got Soho with the 323s, you've got Oxley with the 390s, and then obviously if we're going to go into Stafford and Crewe, we may as well just touch on while we're talking depots. Obviously you've got Crewe carriage sidings, so you've got Transport for Wales stock that comes out of there. You've got an East Mids 158, and you've got obviously a few 350s Crewe carriage sidings as well. So yeah, you've got 3 depots in total that you can do moves out of, and all of them have different stock on the basis that you have all the layers really. So yeah, there's some good variety with depots on this route as well.
That sounds absolutely incredible. Like, not only having just the one depot, but having 3 that you can operate out of, plus the timetable that you're going to have. It also, like, along this section of line as well, like Birmingham, Wolverhampton, Stafford, Crewe, they're all quite big hubs, and like a lot of like changeovers happen there and whatnot. So a lot of people change those stations for certain connections. So, like you say, you've got loads of different endpoints in this route as well, haven't you? So, the gameplay offered from this route is pretty immense.
Yeah, like I said, there's plenty. I mean, off the top of my head, and trying to remember how many trains there are between Birmingham and Wolverhampton. I think it's something like 8 or 9 an hour each way. So there's plenty of variety there. Obviously, as you head of Wolverhampton, then obviously we go through Penkridge and into Stafford. I think up that way you've got 6 an hour. I think you've got the Crewe, 2 Liverpool, 2 Voyagers, and the Pendolino as well. Now this is the era where the Pendolino didn't stop at Stafford, so you do go through Stafford. I'm not going to sit here and say you fly through Stafford, because you slow down to 30 miles an hour just north of Stafford to cross over to the fast line. So you're not going to fly through it, but you're not going to stop at it. And obviously then at Stafford as well, you lose the Crewe service, which goes via Stoke, and then we pick up the one that comes from Euston. And obviously you've got a couple of services, Pendolinos, that stop at Stafford and Crewe, so you'll get those from Stafford as well. Obviously plenty of AI as well that comes fast through Stafford. So it totally changes. I think the Wolverhampton to Penkridge is one of the very few sections in the country where Voyagers can actually run at kind of full speed.
Yeah, that's right.
So again, it's obviously with the Voyager coming out, it gives you a nice stretch. RichyRail line's a nice line for it, but I think max line speed is 100 miles an hour, 90,
yeah, it's 100 mile an hour for about 3 or 4 miles.
Yeah, well, that's Wolverhampton, Stafford, and then as soon as we get to Stafford, obviously you've got the 4 lines. Obviously it's been built. We built it on the modernised layout, so obviously Norton Bridge is kind of deceased to a degree in terms of its junction nowadays. And obviously we go off at Great Bridgeford with a flyover, so all of that's gone in as well with the slow line that spurs off on the west side. So all of that's in, all the way up to Crewe, and it's a very different run from the kind of urban metropolis of the Black Country. You come a few miles north out of Wolverhampton, you go into the countryside at 125 miles an hour, 110 if you're on the 350. And then as soon as you go north of Stafford again, obviously it's a fantastic place for the Pendolinos. It's one of the biggest reasons they had their tilt technology.
Yeah.
Is for that was one of the stretches that was obviously so important between Stafford and Crewe, and obviously a lot of it is 125 miles an hour for the Pendolinos. So yeah, it is a good. Obviously, route comes with a 350, and it's a fantastic drive with a 350. But yeah, what this route is going to give you is a good solid 50-minute run in the Pendolino from Birmingham to Crewe. So with some nice sections of track to run it on as well. So.
It's going to be a bit similar to a lot of the German routes where a lot of stock really fills out the route. So obviously you've got the 350s which will do an awful lot of runs, but like you say, Pendolino voyages, your layers are going to be so important in this, and I think it's good. I think it's going to be one of the first UK routes where we've got so many like UK layers. You've got like the likes of like Naverka Dresden and other German routes that have loads of layers there. This is one that's going to have. I mean, how many layers in total are we talking, roughly off the top of your head?
22.
Yeah, that's insane.
It's around about that figure, yeah. 22. Yeah. I want to go with.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
We also obviously we tried to make it realistic at Crewe, so obviously you obviously the fantastic stock that Just Trains have made has helped us with stuff at obviously the diesel depot area, just to the west, southwest of the station. As you come in, there's always a set of old kind of intercity style Mark IIs. I can never remember. Someone's going to correct me on that.
Yeah, I'm no good with carriage numbers. No good.
Mark IIIs, those ones.
Mark IIIs.
There you go. There you go.
And then there's 86, 87 as well there as well. So yeah, there's always a set part there, and so we've got elements like that as well. And obviously we haven't even mentioned freight.
Yeah.
In Basford Hall. Listen, it's not the biggest run in the world, but you have got Basford Hall Yard, all the sorting sidings. That's all in there as well, so you can pick a train up, a freight loco from there and run it down to kind of Stafford area generally. So yeah, it's not the biggest run in the world. About half an hour, 35 minutes in a freight train from Crewe to Stafford on the slow lines. But again, it's in there, and obviously Crewe as a freight yard is there as well. So yeah, there's plenty of, and we've made it as well. If you can find it, brilliant. I have made a path which is illuminated all the way from Crewe Station to Basford Hall Yard, Freightliners building. So anyone can find it. I'll put some effort into making sure that was illuminated the whole way. So even if you do it at night, you'll find it. So.
Nice. There you go. There's a task for your peeps. You need to make sure you find the path.
The other thing that people need to find on the route, and this is, we haven't really spoken about this. So, a few of us are rail. So I'm rail background. So and our guy that does our line side scenery is absolutely fantastic. His eye to detail. We look at him as our USP. Our line side detail. What he does is absolutely phenomenal. And we haven't really seen much dip in performance because of it as well, because then we try and cull it a bit more further out. Kieran is constantly moaning at our environment artists about tries and polys, etc., and too much grass and all of this, but we really try and put it in line side. And obviously, we've already mentioned it on some of the road maps, etc., the amount of custom bridges. I think you asked it, we didn't really speak about it earlier, the approach, the viaducts into Wolverhampton, all those custom models that he's built, with vegetation hanging out the side of them, etc. He's absolutely hit the nail on the head with them all. And as part of it, I can't remember the exact number off the top of my head. It's around about 120 track access boards. So they are the boards at so where Network Rail and contractors access the track. There's a track access board. So those listening some of you will know what I'm on about. There's around 120, 130 of them on this route, and they are all filled in with the information. So
cool. That's cool.
So anyone that can find every single one, well done, because I couldn't find them all, and I got all the information for them all. And before anybody asks, please don't ring the phone numbers; they're not real phone numbers. We've faked them. So yeah, so that's another one. If I could have made it a collectible, I would have done. But yeah, there's a lot of track access boards on this route to try and find. So
yeah, that's a challenge for you peeps. You need to go and find all these boards. I'm expecting to see 1 or 2 compilation videos. That's the challenge. Like 120. That's insane. So there's so much detail that's been put into this route, and that's obviously one thing, you know, we want to stress here as well, is that like this sort of amount of detail has gone into this route. Not only is it going to be great from the cab, but you know, exploring the route as well. You know, you guys have gone into a lot of detail there. You know, straight off the bat with just the route details and whatnot. So I'm very much excited for it, and I know a bit about the route. So someone that doesn't know much about the route can certainly expect a lot from this. So yeah, is there any other key sort of features you can sort of think of with the route? So obviously Crewe Station is new, the new version of it, or newer version than it is in Spirit of Steam. So what sort of like key changes are around there?
I mean, fundamentally, obviously it's totally different compared to what you'd have seen really in Spirit of Steam. Not just that, we are how many years on from Spirit of Steam?
Yeah, 50 years, I think.
You know, well, not just that, just in development terms as well, in terms of what TSW version we're on, and everything's changed as well. So, you know, the station itself been rebuilt from scratch. It's a brand new model. Layout is obviously different as well in terms of, you know, there's track layout differences. I think there was a lot more track back in that era than there is in this one. And obviously we're also going to get another version of Crewe in a few weeks' time as well. You know, we're excited to see that as well from fellow third party at Just Train. So yeah, you know, Crewe's getting a bit of love at the minute as well. But the station model's been nicely done. It's very complicated with track in the entire area. OLE as well. I gotta give a shout out to OLE because it's, you know, Kieran talks about lighting killing him. OLE has killed me on this route. It's very complicated OLE, and we've tried to capture everything, even in essence like that, overlaps, etc. You know, if it shows it's got free wires, it's got free wires. We don't just send them to random points, etc. We have tried to model it as best we can. I have not created absolutely every single custom bit of OLE, but we have done a lot of work to try and make it as believable. And you know, fundamentally, we tried to hit that quality. We didn't want to give in. You know, PC and Gen 9 especially can take that deeper quality and that more in depth. So we absolutely wanted to make sure that where we could hit the kind of depth and the quality that we did really, we didn't really want to substitute and reduce a lot of that quality. You know, for example, reduce the timetable, reduce the line side, reduce the OLE, and you know, reduce the quality of the track, that kind of stuff. We didn't. It's just something we took a decision, me and Kieran, that we didn't want to do that, and we wanted to maintain that higher quality of product really. So yeah, hopefully everyone can see that, especially in the Crewe area. It's vast. There's a lot to explore. You can run up towards Gresty Road, Carriage Sidings, Diesel Depot, all the way across to Sorting Sidings, Basford Hall Yard. You could spend an hour walking around the Crewe area.
So obviously there's a couple of details about the route. So, you know, what's the main reason for choosing this route? Obviously, you know, coming on board as a third party, you know, you've got to think of an idea somewhere. So what was the main reasons for choosing this route in particular?
So Birmingham Crewe, why do we make it? I mean, you know, you talk about a lot of suggestions. My team has a lot of suggestions, certainly one or two individuals. So sifting through suggestions is almost a daily occurrence within our team. So Birmingham's Crewe, I mean, why not? It's a fantastic route. You know, we looked at, me and Kieran always look at the forums. So if you think you're putting ideas on there and people aren't reading them, we may not comment back because we can't, because we're third parties. But believe me, we read everything on there, and everything that we've got planned over the next few years, I guarantee is somewhere out there on a forum, because we want to see that it's popular. And West Coast Mainline was a big one that people wanted, and it was massive when it came to Train Sim Classic, and we expect it to be really popular on West Coast Mainline, up for TSW as well. You know, this section, why this section in particular? It is hard to pick certain sections of routes. You know, for example, I think this is probably the longest UK debut route for a third party. I think we've just peaked. I think it just pips. I think potentially, I'm trying to think what the other debut was. I was going to say Rivets, Edinburgh, Glasgow, but actually they did the Isle of White Line first, didn't they? So yeah, I think at 52 miles, that's the total length. I think it is the longest debut route for a third party in the UK. So it's a challenge. It's also got a lot of challenging stations, but that's what we wanted to show. We said that in our intro some months ago now, and we really wanted to show that, and we needed to show that in a route. Birmingham to Crewe, not a killer in stations. And 11 in total. I'll be wrong on that number now. I think I should know that off by heart, but I think it's 11. So not a killer in stations. There's some big ones in there: Wolverhampton, Stafford, Crewe, that have been real challenge. Crewe especially. Even places like Smethwick, Galton Bridge, with its kind of crossover platforms, has been a bane of mine and Kieran's life. But a really exciting part, like we've already been through. Birmingham to Wolverhampton is totally different to Stafford Crewe. And that's what we wanted to do, and that's what we plan to do over the next few years. We're gonna deliver varying routes and different styles: high speed, slower, rural, urban. And we felt this route was a good kind of sample. We had rural, we had brilliant urban, metropolis style areas between kind of Wolverhampton and Birmingham. But obviously the layers we've gone into as well, 22 layers. You tell me another route that's got 22 layers in the UK. So absolutely fantastic from that perspective. And personally for me, I am from the Midlands. I remember
I can hear the twang a little
Wolverhampton.
bit.
Thanks. Tried to lose it. Nothing worse than the Black Country accent, and I'm not going to apologise to anybody from the Black Country that's on this, because passport says Walsall. So Walsall and Wolverhampton were my kind of stomping grounds as a little kid, and I remember standing on Wolverhampton when it was just three main platforms and the bay ones before they did that monstrosity on platform 4. I remember it back then, and I always wondered what was to the left as I came in to the north. My dad always took me on the train to Birmingham, but he never took me the other way. And it was years, well into my teenage years, before I actually caught the train up there. So no, as a kid, my dad used to take me to Tipton Level Crossing as a kid.
Oh, yeah.
Before that got removed. So yeah, for me personally, I know the line really well. Obviously I lived in Telford for a while as well. I know we spoke about it, Richie, previously, and so I used to catch the train from Wellington to Birmingham as well. So and even going up north like I do now, I jump on the line at Smethwick Galton Bridge heading north. So yeah, even now, and even recently Penkridge, I worked very close to Penkridge recently, so I've got connections. Even my entire work career, I've worked on the line. There's a couple of bridges south of Wolverhampton that I've worked on as well. So yeah, there's connection wise, there's loads, but also from a general why not? It's a fantastic route to pick, especially, and obviously, thanks to Rivet and Dovetail with their releases the last few months, they've just added even more to it with the 170 and the Voyager. So
yeah, that sounds really, really good, and like you say, having that personal touch with it as well. Like you say, you've commuted from Smethwick Galton Bridge, and I do have a question about that. Is there any form of like AI on it's the higher platforms, isn't it? So it's the lower platforms that would be where the main stuff would go through. Is there any sort of representation of anything on the top? I know it'd be normally, is it 172s nowadays?
Yeah, 172s. We could have put the 170s in place up there, but it just felt a bit kind of unnecessary, really. So yeah, we could have put them up. I can feel Kieran hating me right now as I say this as a potential patch, but I don't know. Everyone vote if you want the 170s up there. They've never really done it for a number of years now. It's been ever since the 153s and 150s got booted off there. It's been 172s. Obviously, I know the 172/0/1s look similar to 170s, but with a turbo style front. But yeah, no, it is unfortunately quiet on the higher levels of Smethwick Galton Bridge. So,
but like you say, you've got that sort of personal connection to it. So like, you commute from those stations. So like, going out and getting reference, for example, you're like, well, I go to that station every day. So it's sort of like, and also you said about Wolverhampton and whatnot. So that personal touch, I think, will hopefully show in the route. So it's really cool that you've got that sort of background with it, and you know the stations quite well.
Yeah, and we've tried to include as well. Obviously, there's quite a bit of artistry, etc. on the route. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, this hasn't been included. For example, Smethwick Roll Street's got a nice bit of artwork from a college, indented into one of the arches on the wing wall of the bridge. Again,
cool.
that's taken a long time, but we've managed to get that approved. So we included it, and it's now been approved. So we managed to keep that in, and that was quite last minute that got approved. So that was good. But then there's other little things like people will ask. For example, obviously the iron horses that go down that route. I think it's 12 of them in total. They are actually licensed, etc. They're not. We haven't put them in because we couldn't figure out who actually owns them.
Yeah.
But again, we try to include what we can, but that was just an example of areas where we have and haven't. We try to include everything we can of kind of what's down there to really, make the feel of the line as well, especially at the stations. So
I find that quite interesting where you mention so the Iron Horses are licensed. You don't really think about stuff like that as a player, like certain sculptures or station features or whatnot are licensed. But yeah, that's quite an interesting insight really, that you want to put it in there, but then actually hold on, this is something that is copyrighted and it's something that can't go into it. So it's actually quite interesting to know that. But yeah, I can imagine licensing for things like that is a bit of a fun one in development, isn't it? Because you're like, oh, okay, where does this come from?
I don't think I'd use the word fun, Richie, but if that's what you find fun, then I can find a job for you. No, listen. There's a lot of licensing that goes on, which is me and Kieran have dealt with a lot of it over the last few months. And the team at Dovetail have been brilliant. Laura, especially to deal with, is one of the nicest people there. That's no offense to Steve or Ryan, but Laura is one of the nicest people there. So, and she's been fantastic to work with, along with the girls in the back as well that deal with all of that directly. And yeah, we've gone through a lot of everything. It's queried. For example, the British Rail logo as well. Everything gets picked up. Every poster gets analysed and reviewed. We've had to change one this week, last week alone, just before it goes out, because apparently it was a real company, even though it was a fake poster. And yeah, absolutely everything gets checked. Obviously everything with the operators as well. So obviously, West Mids checked the stations between Birmingham and Wolverhampton because we're using their branded signage on the stations. So yeah, and then trains as well. Thankfully, these trains we obviously did unlicensed, unbranded trains, so that we didn't really have to go for the licensing. But then even the we obviously looked to include the BTP one in there. Obviously, that had to go through a license check as well. So yeah, licensing alone it has been long drawn out. So
yeah, certainly not fun then. Certainly not fun
well,
anyway.
no, but I've got a new role which I'm just typing up now. License handler.
I'll happily pass. No, so you mentioned about license, on the topic of licensing. So the 350s, is it? Am I right in saying that it's a unbranded version of the London Midland livery? That's right, isn't it?
Yes, yeah and no.
Yeah.
So everything was L&R at the time. This is the transition, 2019, which is what this was based on the timetable. Yes, it was a transition.
Yeah.
That also means we haven't spoken about the timetable. So it was a very controversial timetable, which Kieran has loved to make, because it's when they combined the Liverpool Lime Street, Crewe, and Rugeley Trent Valley, which had recently just been electrified. They combined 4 services from there with the 4 services that go south out of New Street to Birmingham International, and the other 3 went to kind of Northampton and Euston. And they combined them so that the Liverpool trains were going to Euston, and the Crewe were meeting Rugeley at Birmingham and going to Euston, and things like that. It was all over the place. It was mix and match basically. It was kind of show, if you lived in Walsall, you could get a train direct to Euston. It was fantastic. Problem is, one problem anywhere on the L&R network, everything went scuppered.
Right.
A problem in Watford affected people in Cannock straight away, and it was an absolute nightmare. I think there was an MP from Cannock that kicked off about it, and it all got changed. Obviously, COVID hit as well, and kind of changed since then, and it's kind of gone back to how it was pre L&R as well, with everything terminated at New Street from either end. But no, Kieran's had the joy of making it all go through, of trains coupling up and uncoupling at New Street as well. So yeah, that's the timetable. In terms of liveries, there are so in essence you're going to get five varieties to a degree. You're going to get the 350-1, which is in the ex London Midland livery. And that's got all the interior is different as well. So that's, I can't think, we really should have looked at these, shouldn't we, Kieran, before this? So that's got the interior as per the -1. We did all the research on it. So that's that one. The 350-2 is where you get quite a bit of variety. First of all, it's 3+2 seating. In the XLM style, so the green seats, etc. So that's what's in the 350-2. You've got the XLM livery, and you've got the transitional L&R livery, which is the grey with just like the green doors and kind of blacked around the windows. And then also you've got the British Transport Police livery on one of the services as well, and that's with the base XLM livery kind of at either end as well, because it's only like the centre carriage that's they've got the main livery for the BTP. And then you've got the 350-3, which is as per what you kind of see nowadays, so it's the modernised L&R livery. Obviously, it's not branded. We tried to add a little bit more on that was on the EMK version. We've added that little light green as well, which is on there. Obviously, unfortunately, the colours do actually form the name of the company, so that's why so much has to be missing off it, and that's why Dovetail had to do what they did a year ago. But we've been able to add that little bit of detail. So yeah, you'll see in total five varieties of the 350s across 3 subclasses. On those as well, and it's not just that. There's some little features. For example, the 350-1 had kind of a DC shoe, which means on the 350-2 and -3, our train team have obviously been in and removed certain sections. They removed obviously the shoe, they removed the buttons in the cab, etc., and a few other little oddities as well. Unfortunately, the source is quite scarce actually for 350 cabs, believe it or not. So yeah, we've done everything we can with the cabs, but the saloons especially and the exterior. Unless there's anything I've missed, Kieran, that was most of it, really, wasn't it?
I think that's pretty much everything. Yeah.
Yeah. So 5, variants of the 350. That's pretty nuts. That's a lot of time, I can imagine, that's gone into improving the train. So I know a lot of the community, or some members of the community, may say, "Oh, it's the 350 again" and whatnot. But you've just proved right there that it's, essentially not just one new train, 5 new trains, because you've had to go through and rip it all apart and kind of start. Would you say that you've had to start from scratch in some cases with the 350?
I mean, the short answer is yes. We've had to essentially take the train, completely rip it all apart and put it back together again to form obviously everything that we need to do, whether that's the model or whether that's the technical side. So we've had to do a lot of work to it to obviously make sure that the specs between the subclasses are correct and all that sort of stuff. And then obviously, just like with anything in development, you find quirks along the way that you need to then fix, and stuff that may or may not have been broken before. You got to go fix that as well. So there's definitely, even though to the average non-railway person, they'll go, it's the same train. Even subclasses of trains have so much different things to them, and from a development side, there's just so much work. It's not just the case of going copy paste and that's it, that'll do. Slap a new livery on it and you're good to go. There's a lot of work involved to ensure that you can give the player the best experience possible.
So yeah, like you say, it's a lot of work. So anyone out there who's thinking, "Oh, it's just a 350 again," it's not. It's completely been reworked. A lot of time's gone into it, and the fact that you've got like reference to different, kind of variants, different liveries, whatnot as well. It'll be like, as you're going along the route, I can imagine you'll see so many different versions of the 350 that it'll be like, "Oh, that's different. Oh, that's cool." And yeah, it'll be cool. It'll add not only to the variety of the timetable with like the Pendolinos and whatever else, but also the 350s themselves from like a base perspective. You'll see quite a lot of variation there as well.
Yeah, like I said, across the route, coming across them. I mean, if you're doing a Birmingham to Crewe route, it's about an hour. You'll go past at least 10 on a run up to Crewe. So yeah, the variety in there that you'll see is it's just like I said, just adds to it even more from an artwork perspective. So and like Kieran said, Kieran and Sam have done way more than they ever told me they needed to do to that train, and I think at times it was held together by duct tape. And it's probably no better now, to be honest. So it's clinging there. So yeah, I mean, we came across a lot of issues. I mean, Kieran's not really sold himself brilliantly there. I mean, things like the suspension physics, he completely rewrote on the train, etc. So listen, to your average person that just wants to drive a train, it's the 350 from Euston Milton Keynes, but there is a lot of work that goes into trains, and it's also why we didn't make a train from scratch. Right. People need to think about the commercial and financial perspective to this. If we commit to a route and commit to produce a train, and it doesn't come off, and then I'm stuck because I've got a route being progressed, but I've now got a train that doesn't work, or we just can't get it right. What do I do? I've got a route with no train. I've spent money. What do I do? And that's why when we formed All Aboard a year ago, we thought it was really important to do things that we were good at, and focus and grow slowly, and that's what we've done. We worked on the 350. Kieran and Sam have, and they learned a lot of things from that train, which we then pushed into kind of the next bit of work in. I'm not necessarily going to talk much about it today, the 805, but that's had even more work done to it. And obviously in terms of we mentioned licensing, Avanti have been fantastic to deal with, but there's been a lot of licensing checks with Avanti on that. But we've tried to ease into it, so we thought we were coming into the 350 with just a bit of texture work, turned into a little bit more than that, but that was good because it taught the guys a lot more than they were expecting, and then the 805s taught them even more, and so on, and we are in development now of other content, other routes, etc. And we're still not at a stage where we're ready to make a train for a route. Because we are taking it one step at a time. We're a year into it now. We hopefully in the next few months are gonna look to commit to a train with a route. So, but yeah, there's a lot in it. It's very specialist. Kieran's, for example, with Simulgraph, had to learn a lot of it off the cuff. Basically learning from trains that are out there right now, looking at how the logic works, etc. And yeah, there's a lot of hard work that got into these, and even more hard work that goes into making a train from scratch. So, I know a few third parties and whatnot get grief over trains, but I can't stress it enough. There's a lot of trains out there, and I know there could be some better work with some of them, but they're not easy to make, and that's why you don't see as many as everybody wants. Obviously we had ATS's route recently without a train, still fantastic route, but didn't come with a train. There's a lot more routes out there than trains. Mm-hmm. And yeah, we've tried to start. We didn't want to throw ourselves completely in the deep end, and we've kind of grown with it. And hopefully Kieran and the team now, there's a bit more of a team than just Kieran and Sam. There's a few guys there now, all working on train aspects. So and yeah, we've done other things as well, which obviously you probably heard over the summer. We obviously supplied a number of the sounds for the 802. As part of that, we also worked with Liam at Grump Dog Games to do the HST farewell locos.
Yeah, cool.
So that was work that we did with Liam as well. That was a great opportunity that Liam gave us. So we did that as well, and all of this was fantastic opportunity to keep growing that kind of knowledge in train development. So yeah, that was the other reason behind the route, the 350. We knew we could work with it. Probably more work than we realised, but it was something we could work with. We were not comfortable starting from scratch, so it's a big point as well, really, for anybody coming into the scene, anybody that's out there that wants to be a third party. It's important that you're picking something that you can work with. Starting to train from scratch is just good luck to you if that's your ambition. So.
Yeah, that sounds really, really good. And I know there's a few things you mentioned there as well. If you are looking to be a third party, there is a lot of learning curves. I have had a little go with the Unreal editor, and it makes me want to cry. I don't like it at all. So honestly, I have a lot of respect for what you do with the Unreal editor and whatever else to make a route. I wouldn't even know how to make timetables and stuff. I'd love to learn it. It'd be great, but like you say, it is a steep learning curve, and there's a lot of moving parts, and you need to kind of have quite a relatively decent understanding of how software and things like that work. But yeah, what sort of other advice would you give towards third parties who would want to come on board to do route building and whatnot?
Give up your day job.
I suppose one thing to obviously mention is that when you're doing this as well, you are doing a day job.
So yeah, I work on the railway as a day job. Have done during all of this development I did before all of this. So and there's a number of guys within the team. There's a couple that have day jobs. Not as many. I'll be honest. Elsewhere, I have found, but for quite a few of our guys now, this is full time for them, and rightly so. I mean, a lot of the guys do completely full time jobs on this now, and it is a team. I've got full respect for people like Johannes, and we know Johannes really well. He's not really said anything on the forums, but Johannes did all the scenery between Wolverhampton and Birmingham on this route.
Oh, nice.
We know Johannes quite well. So full credit to him for doing 12, 13 miles on the Marble Main Line. But people ask why didn't go to places like Richmond to start with. It's because somewhere you had to draw the line to to release it, and things aren't cheap neither. For example, we can't do everything ourselves. I think there's about 12 people in total that have directly contributed to Birmingham Crewe, in terms of station modelers, environment artists, gameplay, track and signalling, like that kind of stuff. OLE, But listen, the core team we've got there, that who you are, absolutely fantastic job at what you've done. From the scenery, the line side, the gameplay, and the work on the train, etc., is phenomenal. But yeah, those guys that were cool, the key to us really on Birmingham Crewe are still there now, working on the next product, which will remain nameless.
So you touched on it a little bit there, about the Class 805 DLC and stuff like that. So will that actually be playable on this route?
So in terms of playability, obviously the 805 is being released mainly to be played on Euston Milton Keynes. Obviously, it doesn't really drive on most of the sections on Birmingham to Crewe.
Mm-hmm.
It's predominantly 805 is predominantly obviously for the Chester and Holyhead services. So it basically fills the gap in train that was missing on Euston Milton Keynes. So there's 27 playable services, including some ETS, on Euston Milton Keynes, which should be able to drive between obviously London Euston and Milton Keynes basically. Mm-hmm. With that new timetable which you get in as well, obviously it's the Forks timetable, so it's a full timetable. We've included everything we can, all your underground, overground services in there, your 710s are in there as well, 12 car 350s which people really wanted.
Nice.
So we've done everything we can with that, to try and fit that in as well. And obviously then try to fill the timetable out as well, to its true reflection, really. So yeah, big timetable one for that one is Euston Milton Keynes. It isn't just about the 805 itself, it's about the game. It's about, obviously I know there's mods out there for PC players, but this is giving the console players as well that timetable now as well, which they deserve as well. I know they find it a bit unfair that obviously PC players get mods, so yeah, this pack is obviously also to give those console players that brilliant timetable that Forks created, so which then optimized to go on the Gen 9 consoles as well. But in terms of Birmingham Crewe, you can drive it, you can spawn it in. You can run it out of Oxley and run it diesel around the cord and up to Stafford and Crewe, where you can do it on electric. You can absolutely spawn it in. Does it feature on the timetable? No, it's a 2019 timetable. So obviously the 805s went around then. So it won't feature in that timetable and won't come into it. So they are totally separate products. They don't blend into each other in that respect. But you never know. You never know what. We said there was one more surprise to come with the 805 pack before we announce more. So we'll see what that is.
So yeah, obviously it's quite cool about the 805. It's going to really make use to Milton Keynes quite busy. Like you say, it's going to be called like console players. Yes, console. You know, us console players sometimes are getting a bit annoyed about mods, but we can get decent timetables now. So yeah, that's really exciting. Obviously, with all that being said, you know, with development and whatever else, with this being your debut route, sort of what are you most proud of with the development process? What sort of key things are you like happy to talk about?
Oh, big achievements. I think releasing it for one has got to be number one for all of us, really, getting it to release. You got to bear in mind, a lot of us, you know, me for example, I'm a civil engineer and I'm here releasing, you know, a full DLC for a game that goes out to tens of thousands of people. You know, I've got a game going on PlayStation and Xbox. You know, little old me at 11 years old playing FIFA would never have thought I'd have a game on PlayStation. So, you know, that can't be kind of underestimated. You know, going through this development process, which has been long in the development, to finally release it and to have a product on kind of explaining that to my family was they didn't understand it at all. So yeah, I think to actually release something that's going on to things like PlayStation and Xbox, etc., and to get there and release such a a fantastic product and what the team have worked on. I think getting to the end and being so happy with the product, and I really am really happy with it. You know, I know the route really well. I hope it lives up to it, and I hope it performs for everybody. I really do. And you know, we're here to fix anything that obviously comes out from release. You know, it's our first route. Something will happen with it, I've no doubt. You know, bear with us. We'll fix everything we can as fast as we can. Hope it all stands up, and just really happy with it. It got to the end. Really, I think that's my big one. So
I think the thing that I'm most proud of is, you know, when we started obviously working on the route, is that, you know, we've had different people come into the team, and we've faced so many challenges. You know, even with previous experience stuff, there's always stuff to learn. And despite all of those challenges and everything that we've had to get over, how quick we've produced it, and to the quality that we've produced it as well. Every time, I mean, I sit and drive the route, obviously, pretty much every day at this point, you know, trying to make sure that we've picked up everything we can and fix things that are not quite right. And never really get bored of it. And yeah, for me, just seeing that product in its sort of final form is, I never thought it would happen. We would see the day where we've gone from start to finish with something, and now it's coming out and not just on PC. Obviously, I've done stuff in TS Classic and stuff before where it's just been on Steam, but coming out across so many platforms and to be available to so many people, it's definitely a huge achievement. And you know, proud of myself for obviously all the challenges, but that we've come across and got through, but the rest of the team as well. You know, everyone has put in an awful amount of work to make this the best that it can be, and I truly do believe that we have created something that is going to be very enjoyable to play across many hours.
I quite like how you mentioned like being 11 or 12 years old and thinking, oh, you know, releasing something onto consoles seems so far-fetched, and it's become quite a reality. I quite like that. I've never really thought of it that way. One thing you mentioned was obviously a few challenges that you face. So obviously there's a few things that you're proud of. What sort of challenges have you faced, so that, you know, if any future third parties want to do a route of some kind. What can you sort of warn them, let's say, about the challenges of route development?
So I think my first one would be get your partner on side. That would be the first one for me.
Happy wife, happy life.
Yeah, I've had two kids during all of this and upped it to three at the same time as doing all of that. And so yeah, it's been life balancing with this as well. I think biggest challenges really. Obviously most of us, half of us really that on the team obviously are from Train Sim Classic days as well. So we're all used to the Train Sim Classic editor, making routes since 2009, 2010 kind of thing. Trying to make stuff from that. Moving on to Unreal Engine, I'm not a games developer by any means. So learning Unreal Engine, I mean, I go back to when I first did the track on this route. One of the DGG guys, I think it was Lucas, actually drove it. We'd been driving it in a 323, and then Lucas came along and drove it in a 47, which was much older technology on the game, and it was horrible to drive. And I had to go and relay every single bend on the route. And if anybody knows this route, it's got a lot of bends. So learning on it as well. There's not huge amounts of documentation. Obviously, Dovetail help us where they can with videos and a bit of support. But you are learning a lot. To know how signaling works, for example. I had to go into other routes to try and find something similar, like a PRI banner, things like that, to figure out how everything works. Really. There's a lot of learning on the spot, a lot of redoing things, making mistakes, and not getting downbeat from it. So I think for me, if we're going to sit here and list 3 challenges, I think my big one, first of all, would be getting to grips with the technology and learning something new, which has been enjoyable. I will never go back to Train Sim Classic, and I think Kieran's the same. I do love TSW development, but was it a challenge? Was those first few months and years in Train Sim World development hard? Yes, very. And I think getting into it, anybody that wants to get into it, you asked about advice. Anyone that wants to get into it, don't think you're going to get into it and have a route this time next year. You need to learn it. You need to practice. You need to acknowledge that you'll make mistakes and redo it. There's a lot to learn. It's not just laying track, putting some signals and putting some fancy buildings up and pressing play like it was on Train Sim Classic. There's a lot that goes into it. It's game development. So, yeah, getting to grips with that editor for me, Richie, would be the real big challenge.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. Like I say, I've got very, very little experience with the Unreal editor, and I've not a clue. So I can imagine once you get your head around it, and certain things, it gets a bit easier, and certain things, it's practice makes perfect, doesn't it? So obviously, would you say to new people, just practice as much as they can?
Yeah, I mean, practice. Obviously, it's not even just in this. You need models for stations. You need to be able to work in things like Blender or Maya and 3ds Max. Like, you need that as well. I mean, I think we touched on it previously. I think Kieran spoke about it. We haven't just gone for, because we are a team. I think we're one of the largest Train Sim World third-party teams in terms of size. I think we're actually one of the Rivet. I think maybe bigger than us in size, but in terms of personnel, yeah, we're probably one of the biggest third parties.
Really, that's
in terms of numbers, we haven't just gone for Train Sim people. We've got a couple, obviously. Me and Kieran have Train Sim background, quite heavy Train Sim background. We've got obviously our line side guy who is big Train Sim background and gameplay, and then obviously our main train developer as well. But then we've got other train modelers who a bit other modelers, station modelers, etc., who are just modelers, and game artists basically. Our lead environment artist is. And obviously, the funny story about him is he has no train background at all, but he's an absolutely fantastic level artist in Unreal. So it's the total opposite to what the challenges we've had. He knew Unreal fantastically, but then when he wanted to go and check something on the game, Kieran sorted him all out, and he got into the game, landed himself at Wolverhampton, wanted to go a few miles up the track to have a look at the scenery they delayed, see what it looked like in game, because Kieran had raised some queries with it. Couldn't work out to drive the train, so he walked. for 15 minutes to get to the point where he wanted to get to go and have a look. So, it's important to have. It's important to recognise that this isn't just about knowing train sim world. It's a game engine. So we found it in our team. It's important to have that mix as well, of kind of general game people and rail people and testers as well is something we've really brought in. And also, I'm going to say this now, a mix of male and female. We've got 3 females in our team, Kieran, in total.
Yep.
And I live with my partner, and their attention to detail is way more than us men at times. And our 2 main testers are absolutely fantastic at what they do, pick up on absolutely every little thing. So yeah, having that real blend in a team of all sorts is really important. So advice for anybody trying to do it, become a third party from off the back of all this is maybe find some other people to do it with. I wouldn't encourage anybody to do it alone unless you really want to challenge. I really would encourage people to talk to others and come together as a team and try and build something. And you don't all have to know stuff about trains. You can just find somebody who's good at modelling, find somebody who can lay buildings in Unreal, really. So yeah, that would be my advice from that real big challenge.
I think to be honest, the biggest challenge for me was, going from just doing timetable stuff to doing so many different areas. Which, granted, a lot of it picked up quite quickly, but I mean, you could go from doing station tech to the train tech, and it's completely different. I mean, the PIS boards and stuff like that at New Street and various other stations. I mean, those alone, as great as they are, were a pain to do.
Yeah, I can imagine it's like. It's like every single thing you see that moves or you can interact with is like a whole new thing, isn't it? Like, it's not just the route building, it's not just the train. Like you say, the PIS is a thing, and I mean, I don't know how like dev works from like collectibles and stuff like that, but even things like that, I suppose, can be quite complicated.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very good point. People look at gameplay and they think timetable, or scenarios, when actually gameplay there's so much more to it. I mean, you've got obviously the journey mode aspect, you've got collectibles, you've obviously got mastery tile, and a lot of that actually has its own technical challenges. It's not just the case of, like, with collectibles, for example, it's not just the case of going, right, I've got this asset, place it all over the map, call it, jobs are good and call it a day. You've got the technical side, and then you've obviously got to link in with DCG and make sure they know where obviously they're all placed, and there's a lot of organization on that side of things as well. I think the biggest thing for me, and the biggest bit of advice that I could give for anyone that's thinking about getting into development in TSW or becoming a third party, is focus on one thing that you really, really want to do in Unreal Engine with TSW. Whether that's environment art, whether that's making a train, timetable, whatever it might be, focus on just one thing. Because as soon as you start trying to do everything all at once, you essentially are going to set yourself up for failure. Unless you've got the next 10 years to learn it all. Then by all means, but again, take it each step at a time. You really want to master one area before moving on to another. I mean, obviously, for me, I do quite a few different roles within the team, from station lighting and cluttering to the technical side of the stations to then all the train stuff, and then obviously the timetable and other various bits of gameplay. But you'd never catch me making a 3D model or doing environment art, because one, I hate it, and two, like, I just wouldn't have the time to get it right, and you really need to make sure, especially with a game like TSW, that's not just, it's not like TS Classic where it's just on one platform and it's very niche. It being on consoles, it opens up to a much wider market and a lot more general just casual gamers, and they're going to, from the experience with other games, they're going to expect good quality and high quality as well. And so, yeah, focus on one thing, and as Dan said, look to, whether it's a group of friends or or finding other people that actually have the experience. It's very much a team effort as far as TSW development goes. And to those people who are, whether they've already started doing stuff on their own or have done stuff on their own, whilst that's fantastic, absolutely look to bring in more people, because otherwise you're going to be doing it 24/7. You're never going to sleep with the amount of stuff there is to do. It's like a giant puzzle, and there's so many different pieces to that puzzle.
So yeah, that's a really good insight into like the development process for Roots. So if you want to become a third party and you want to give it a go, do it. See what you can do. So with that said, that's pretty much everything to talk about for West Coast Mainline Birmingham to Crewe, and there's a lot to look forward to there. I'm certainly very excited. So it leads me to say, what does the future look like for all aboard?
What does the future look like? Well, I told my partner I was going to do one route, so a difficult conversation. But no, I mean we've obviously already got the 805 on the way as well.
Yeah.
We're already, like I said, we're quite a big team. We're already working on our next products in development, well into development now. Some of those, and we've kind of got a full streamline of work ahead of us. In the coming months and years as well that we want to do. There's a lot of ideas. Our team have a lot of ideas, and trying to remind them all that they all come with costs and time scales and complications. It is hard work. So yeah, listen, there's some fantastic ideas there. We try and keep it a little bit fluid. People need to remember that we need to get source for trains. We need to get source for routes, etc., licensing, etc., as well. That's really important, and we started that process. We've got a list of trains and routes, etc., that we'd like to achieve, and we're working with a number of individuals now that are helping us and assisting us with future content. But yeah, I mean, we plan well in advance, so I'm already getting source for products that I'm looking at 2 years down the line. So there's a lot of exciting stuff to come. Hopefully this is just the start. We said that we wanted to really kind of test development. We wanted to show that not all routes need to be 45 miles A to B with the same train. You can make exciting things with layers, network style routes that you can push the boundaries of miles. And like, this is a starter, Birmingham to Crewe, 52 miles. It is our starter route. We are going to push on from there. Absolutely, and you will see longer and bigger routes from us, but we're also going to give you some more rural and quieter routes. The big thing, we don't just want to be a one-trick pony giving the same style of routes all the time. So if people think that we're just going to go ahead and model the whole of the West Coast Main Line for the next 3 years, you're incorrect. We are looking at all aspects of the UK rail, and looking at what we can do to test, because we also want to see what players want. Generally you get 45 to 60 minute style routes. Players say we want more. Well, okay, we're happy to try and give you that more, but then prove that that's what you want, because then if that doesn't go down very well, then everyone's just going to say, okay, we'll stick to 45 60 minute routes. So we're going to try and push those boundaries over the next few months and years, and see what we can release, really. So yeah, there's lots going on now and lots to come in the next few years as well from us. So hopefully you'll hear from us again.
Yeah, that sounds really, really exciting. That there's still loads planned and things coming out soon. So yeah, I'm very much looking forward to whatever you come up with next, because from what you've done from a debut route, it looks really, really good. So yeah, like I say, suggestions, peeps. If you've got suggestions, is there something you want to see in Train Sim World, put it on the forums, put it in the comments, put it wherever you can, because third parties, like all aboard, they do look out for what you're saying. So yeah, if you want to see something, you best just posting it. So with that said, is there any other things you want to mention about the route? Anything that we've not really covered just yet?
I think the route itself. I mean, I think we've been through it in detail. I mean, we could sit here and speak for hours about the route. I think the biggest thing I would say, we've done a lot of talking about potential people becoming third parties and development side of things. You know, and there are dark days in doing this development work. I've had it at times over the last few years, doing various products, and I think the biggest thing I'd say is where you can at least anyway enjoy yourself. You know, and that's where I'd sit here and say do it as a team. You know, the midnight to 3 a.m. calls with Kieran, because that's the time of day that he decides to work. Yeah, it doesn't always go well at home, but that's when he likes to talk. So, and genuinely enjoy yourself, and have fun doing it, and you know, have a laugh, and don't take it too seriously. You know, obviously you want to create a product, brilliant, but it's meant to be, you know, this started off as kind of a hobby for most of us, probably in Train Sim Classic, but we still sit here now and try and have a laugh with it all, and not take things too seriously. Listen, we still got timescales to hit, and things to close out. So yeah, sometimes does conversations get a little bit hard at times between each other? Then yeah, absolutely. But some of those moments as well, just make sure you enjoy it, first and foremost. You know, if you're in this and you're just getting stressed out, then just close the editor down and just drive the trains. Like, it's what we all came here for to start with. So yeah, I think that's my biggest take from this is, you know, like anything in life, I always think if you don't enjoy a job, don't, you know, leave. So, and it's no different with this. If you enjoy it, then absolutely jump in and talk to other people. There's plenty of third parties out there that need help. We're always on the station, you know, always on the lookout. So, you know, if you know how to use Unreal or modeling software, then check out our website, because always happy to talk to people. So yeah, if you're not happy to do it yourself, then yeah, always come and talk to us. But yeah, big thing, enjoy yourself.
So now that we've pretty much covered everything for the route, what are the final details? You know, release date, pricing, all that sort of stuff.
So route releases next week, so Tuesday the 21st of October 2025. That's on Gen 9 and PC only, so unfortunately Gen 8 consoles it is not coming to yourselves. You have Crewe area to blame for that, unfortunately. So yeah, Gen 9 and PC only, from Tuesday next week, and it'll be $29.99 retail on all those platforms. So usual way of purchasing routes and add-ons all be the same way on Tuesday. So
cool. There we go. That's everything you can expect about West Coast Mainline Birmingham to Crewe. I'm very much excited. Thank you very much, both of you, for joining me today. It's been an absolute pleasure to talk about the route, and I'm really, really excited for this release and also future releases you've got. So yeah, any final thoughts?
no, thanks for having us on, Richie.
Thank you very much.